the Minnesota Vikings picked Lewis Cine, 6'2", 200-pound safety out of Georgia. Georgia did something historical. 5 defensive players taken in the first round. No school has ever done that, so Alabama can't claim that now. Miami can't, even though Miami had some great drafts with Ed Reed, Mike Rump, Phillip Buchanan, Jeremy Shockey, Clinton Portis. You cannot take that away from the Georgia Bulldogs. I know that's an all-time argument. Auburn, all those teams out there who tries to claim supremacy. You look at USC in their days of greatness with Reggie Bush. The greatness belongs to Georgia. The night was won by Georgia last night. Of course, there was a trade heard around the world, of course, at US Bank Stadium for Vikings fans, but also in the show. We got Hobie Artigue. He's going to give us some insight into the playoffs for the Timberwolves, of course, because he was at practice. He's also going to tell us his feelings about the trade and what the Vikings are going to do at 34. And then, of course, it's the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes. But first, when you think about this draft, Sam, what was your initial reaction when the trade happened?
Well, first it was 20 picks. I think it was a lot of people had that reaction. You know, this is Rick Spielman running this draft room? But I walk away wondering what's going to happen with Jamison Williams, Jordan Davis, Kyle Hamilton. Like the Vikings could have had an elite receiver. They could have had the best defensive tackle on the board. They could have had the best safety on the board. They passed up those opportunities. They move up in the second. They get a third. A lot of folks would have liked to get a future first-round pick. And I think a lot of times to move up 20 picks, you're probably giving up more than the Lions did this year. So there's that. And then there's going to be the endless comparisons between Kyle Hamilton, you know, in Baltimore and Lewis Cine with the Vikings. 2 safeties, both very good in their own right. A lot of people wanted Hamilton. So I think that Cine feels like a consolation prize for a lot of fans. I like him. I like Lewis Cine. I think he's a good player. I just think that the comparisons are going to potentially haunt fans. If Cine isn't what you want him to be, then that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. But on paper, I really like the player. He's crazy fast, much faster than Kyle Hamilton, but he doesn't sacrifice any physicality just because he's quick and a little, you know, lighter. He's really tough. So I think he's a really good player. I don't know if he plays every down in 2022, but this is amassing talent on this team. And I think he's super talented.
Yeah, and this is what it felt like to me. I go back to my draft in 2002, and both of these guys are my friends. They were my friends as we went through the draft process. But Roy Williams and Ed Reed. Roy Williams was kind of the guy everybody talked about. He was the guy that made the big play in the Texas game. He was the guy that everybody said was the easy answer to your problems at safety. So the Dallas Cowboys take him early, I think at number 4 even. He was up there. He was 4 or 5. Roy Williams gets drafted. And then the Baltimore Ravens down in the 20s take Ed Reed. And the question marks were size. He's not, you know, the gigantic, you know, guy that Roy is. He's not a Sean Taylor type. When you look at that Miami defense, they had 2 cornerbacks that were first-round picks, and Mike Rump and Phillip Buchanan. So people were like, well, you know, is it Ed Reed or is it these corners that are really just good and Ed's just able to get tip balls? And, you know, a lot of his plays were like hustle plays where he was taking balls from people on his own team and scoring touchdowns. Fast forward now, Ed Reed's the Hall of Famer. I think Roy at some point might, but Ed was a clear-cut Hall of Famer. You know, he had the interceptions. He had the ball skills. He had everything. Kyle Hamilton and Lewis Cine feel like that to me a little bit. It feels like Lewis Cine is going to be more of a playmaker, more of a highlight film. He's going to be a guy that's going to come downhill and hit people like Ronnie Lott. He's a guy that's going to make some big plays where he might get fined. But he's also going to scare some people because if you get hit once, you're not going to come back across the middle with confidence and put your hands up. You're going to get those gator arms. And Kyle Hamilton is more of a finesse safety, and I don't think the Vikings need that. They already have Harrison Smith, who's kind of your running around guy, your hide around guy, your secret guy. You know, you have Bynum, who can come down in the box and cover, former cornerback, so I think they can use him. There's nothing saying you can't start off a game with 3 safeties. Here's the thing. At his size, it's 200 pounds, 6'2", 200 pounds. He'll probably put on a little bit more weight once he gets into that food and that money, and he's going to have a trainer. He's going to have a nutritionist. He's going to have all the stuff at the Vikings facility. He can get a smoothie and some protein anytime he wants. So if that frame gets to 210, he's an easy banging safety. You know, when you think about Cam Chancellor, but he also can play in the box in a 3-4, because if one of your backers is going to go, the other backer sits in the hole and kind of plays the field. That could be Lewis Cine. Defense is nowadays, and he's not a guy that's scared to take on a fullback or take on a running back. He can cover a tight end at 6'2". He can cover a running back at 4'3". So he gives you, he's like a Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades on this defense, where Ed Donatel and Mike Pettin now have a project. They have somebody that they can work in there. And now also Cam Bynum. Cam Bynum can go and play nickel on the other side. Somebody goes 4 receivers. You can put Bynum on one slot. You can put Cam Chancellor or Chandon Sullivan on another. On another. You can have you might get Andrew Booth Jr. at 34, so he's out there. You got Dancer who can come in. You got Patrick Peterson to cover, and now you got your 2 safeties on the back. They have a lot of things they can do with this defense. We know Kirk Cousins is going to get done what he needs to get done. That's why I personally like the pick. I'm always going to be optimistic, unless it's just like one of those, like, oh man, they took a punter. But we don't know what they're going to do. And nothing against punters. Don't tweet me. I know Pat McAfee's a punter. I love punters. I love kickers. But I just don't see all the angst of the fans. Harrison Smith is in his 10th year. Cam Bynum's in his second year. He had 1 year. Why not? Like, what is the plan? Think about when Harrison Smith was out with COVID. Think about when he wasn't playing. We were all like, man, what are they going to do? Now they added depth to a position they had none. We've always talked about that. And now you still can go get a corner that people wanted. Andrew Booth Jr. is there. So I like the pick. You gain a 2nd round pick. You gain a 3rd round pick. You move up in the 2nd. 34 and 33 are just like first rounders. You look at Brian O'Neill and Dalvin Cook. You're still getting high quality starting talent there in the 2nd. Mackenzie Alexander. So that's why I was okay with that pick. I don't understand why people were so upset.